Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Lobo Show. So over in 142, we made a point to make sure Zeno went into the hands of people who could test them out fully, and these reports so far have been pretty tasty. Almost every day since MG finished, we've been either testing at level 1 passes or doing ARC testing, so this will be a nice, comprehensive Zeno guide. All around, Zenobia's pretty bonkers. Anyone telling you otherwise clearly hasn't tested this well enough. I want to give a big shout out to Kevin and Starcast from Blazing Phoenix for being the Garrison Gods and letting me help test all of these. And Black Joker for literally getting the first tests out within 30 minutes of MGE testing. It's been the most fun few days of ROK I've had since before KVK. Since like 2 KVKs ago. So first up, let's look at the commanders showcase why they're so good. So, taking a look at her talents, she's already in a great spot. Infantry, garrison, and support have a wide range of options for builds. It is the same as Constantine, so it's nothing new, it's just in a much more interesting package. Her heal numbers are really good. If the extra 300 also hits her, she's healing the same amount as a Richard heal, and when she starts firing off skills, the heal numbers are akin to Genghis Khan's skills going off. The support tree really helps it go off, and the 40% health is a huge boost in survivability. And for a bonus kicker, for some reason she also grants 30% all damage from the Unstoppable that she gains here. I'm not sure if it's a bug or if it's missing from the tooltip, but yeah, she does like really dumb damage. Her second skill is pretty much the final nail in Attila's coffin. You'll see this soon. She demolishes Attila with pretty much anyone. Even when she's a secondary, she melts rallies and takes so little damage from the combination of these two. The third skill, she just gives even more health, which makes her so very tanky. You really need to go for a heavy DPS to make a dent in her before she melts you herself. It's a very tough nut to crack for all rally players at the moment. So for this one, 10% chance to proc damage aren't always the best, but she gives so much survivability it's going to go off a lot. And it's 1800 damage factor over 3 seconds, which is just an insane amount of DPS. There's some caveats about how this stacks over time, but that's for another video, and I don't quite fully understand all of that myself. Her expertise is good at make rallies without any supporting armies behind them even more useless. It's encouraging you to swarm down rallies, giving all those ever important debuff marches more survivability. Do not underestimate this. The only way so far you can probably beat Zenobia is through a rally with swarming, and if she's healing her support, then you're just in the money. Now for the moment of truth, some of these juicy reports. So here's the report from the opening bit. Charles seems to have performed about on par with Wu. There's definitely some nuance to when you would use one over the other as a primary, but for the sake of simplicity, if you have decent gear and a max Charles, you can hold off an Attila really well with the addition of Zenobia. Speaking of Wu, 1v1, she still has half of her troops, and half of that is from the heals alone. From what I remember, this Wu wasn't spec'd for anti-Attila Takeda on top of it, so this is an unoptimized Wu absolutely demolishing an Attila Takeda. Next up, we changed out the leadership tree for just the infantry tree. And it makes it even better with 30k less in the hospital. That's about 5k less dead per person in a flag scenario. Think about how long that is to train, and Wu isn't even the best combo for her yet. Next up, we realized how Attila's kind of on the downward trend. So we tried out a bunch of DPS. Chandra Will did a significant more amount of damage, and also ended up losing less troops because he managed to chunk her down quicker. So the next thing that came to our mind is, what if we negate some of these heals? My Ramses got spanked pretty hard here. But his heal negate did play a very big part. Her heals were down, and it was ever so slightly mistimed. So I think if I give some rage items on my Ramses, this could turn it around. She did heal 40k less than the first Attila rally, Ramsey and YSG also lasted a full minute longer than Attila Takeda, which is absolutely wild, right? So keep that in mind when looking at this report and the heal numbers. So the YSS here had 45k archers and 40k calves supporting it. YSS is probably the linchpin for most good garrison combos. He barely took any losses, and the heals are still pretty bonkers. This is the extent of our past test, because that cost a buttload in gold, but I'm getting that good content, baby! From memory, the gear is very similar on both Attilas, and we expect slightly more anti-Attila Takeda, but she still takes less damage with the arc buff. A lot of Attila Takeda's strength comes from having a big army and having range, so take that, again, with a grain of salt when you're making KVK implications, but still. Zenobia spashes it with this one. The really funny one about this is Zenobia and Constantine killed the rally so quickly that Con's heal didn't even have a chance to proc. So for Richard and Zenobia, it took a really long time to die, but that's kind of what archers are supposed to do, is kill infantry. But when we swapped it around, Zenobia Richard did do a ton of work against Attila Takeda, and that's once again true when we were using Charles and Zenobia. But Charles isn't really the best for garrisons anymore. And keep in mind, Zenobia and Charles still performed very well against Attila Takeda. Theo and her cleanse prove that she is still just the queen of garrison, and she barely took any losses here, and this report finished so quickly. YSS does perform slightly better, but you really can't go wrong with Zenobia and Theo. It's a phenomenal combo as well. Oddly, the Ramsey-YSG combo seemed to have performed very well, so as a firm advocate for archers, I am very happy with this move towards archer glory coming back. Although in most arc battles, I feel like Tilla will hold up against a swarm a lot better than the YSG and the Ramses, but that's hyper semantics, and maybe with the rally getting support and swarming down the garrison, we might be able to break the garrison super quickly. Last one up here, Artie and Zenobia did pretty well with full archers. We didn't manage to get Zenobia Artie full infantry, but given all the other reports that we have, I can safely say that this will probably also work very well against a wide variety of rallies. So I have two rough ideas for talent trees. This first one up is more for anti-Attila. It's stacking as much stats as you can get. I feel like you could drop the heal part and gain more health and damage against calves. If that's more your jam, that's fine, but this is where I'm landing. This next tree gives up a bit of those stats to try to gain some skill damage protection. It's her only really glaring weakness. If you manage to get some high DPS in, you can definitely beat her. We have a few ideas cooked up here, but those are secrets that only our next KVK enemies are going to figure out what they are. I believe that's virtually every garrison combo against a wide variety of rallies, and Zenobia's damn near unbeatable in 1v1 scenarios. With her AoE heal helping with the swarm support, and that unlisted 30% all damage, she's definitely one of the garrison elites. Even without that 30%, she's probably still going to be making big waves. I imagine that's going to get nerfed soon, because as it stands now, it's really out of control. Maybe it'll get fixed, because, you know, Lilith doesn't release new commanders without something not going as intended. Garrison players should definitely be using her like crazy. I don't know if anything can beat her super consistently right now, and it's going to be a very interesting meta until I get some Herald testing in, but I really don't think he's what's going to be the counter to this. Garrisons are going to have a huge advantage until the new archers come out, and hopefully we'll have a glorious archer revival like the Edward Tamiris days. Thank you for watching. I think this video might have been a bit longer, but I want to cover all the bases. If this was helpful, let me know, and I hope to see you this Sunday for some nice Osiris League content. Until then, take care,